Hey jongens, dit is Robert, Crypto Benelux. Leuk dat jullie weer kijken. En vandaag had ik een interview met Riccardo Spagni. Nou, bij jullie beter bekend als FluffyPony. En vandaag hadden we het natuurlijk over Monero, zijn nieuwe project Tari. En we hadden het over de MagicalCrypto Friends. Nou, hier zit tevens een giveaway aan verbonden van Bitladon. Bij jullie ook beter bekend als Bitcoin Meester. Maar de video wordt gestreamd op MyCryptoSpirit. Dus voor jullie heb ik alvast een paar hoogtepunten eruit gehaald. En een linkje erbij gezet voor het volledige interview. Ik hoop dat jullie het leuk vinden. So Riccardo, first of all, welcome. And make a short introduction of yourself for the people who don't know you yet. Well, I don't think they exist, but please give us an introduction.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Riccardo Spagni, and as you correctly pointed out, most people know me as FluffyPony.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been involved in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ecosystem since early 2011, May 2011.
Right.
And initially spent a lot of time building tools for miners.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big interest of mine. I also started a payment gateway to process cryptocurrency payments, mostly to solve my own problem of miners wanting to pay me in a bunch of different altcoins for the stuff that I was building. And then in early 2014, I got involved with Monero, and I was the lead maintainer of Monero for the past, 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I stepped down towards the end of 2019. And Monero was the first real attempt at creating a pro-privacy decentralized cryptocurrency. I mean, before Monero, there was a non-coin and so on.
Yeah, of course.
It really had the cryptography chops that they needed to be taken seriously. And so that's why now when you have that first mover advantage, when you have the mind share, then it doesn't actually matter if you have the best technology. I mean, does Bitcoin have the best technology? I mean, arguably yes on some things and no on others. And I think it's less about the technology and more about the maturity of the code and
the hash power and the security.
yeah, that's it. And mindshare as well. What do people think of when they think, when you go speak to someone like a man on the street and you say, oh, have you heard about Waffle Coin? They're going to say no. It doesn't matter how cool the technology is. But when you say, have you heard about Bitcoin? Yeah, of course they've heard about Bitcoin.
Yeah, of course.
And so
there is some way that Monero is different than the others at the technical side. Is that true?
Yeah. So basically, I guess the best thing to do is to explain how Monero tries to achieve privacy. So Monero focuses on 5 aspects of privacy. The first is that it hides where a transaction is going to. So it does this through something called stealth addresses. And there's no way to reverse this. You can't take a Monero destination on the blockchain and figure out the address that's being paid. The second thing is it hides the amounts that have been transacted. And again, this is real privacy. There's no way to sort of break that and figure out how much someone is sending. The third thing is it hides where a transaction is coming from, and it does this using something called ring signatures. So basically, when you're constructing a Monero transaction, you take a look at the blockchain, you pick a bunch of old transactions, old and newer, and then your transaction appears to be spending all of these old transactions. Now, ring signatures are considered probably the weakest aspect of Monero's privacy, because that aspect or that act of choosing the old transactions that you are going to appear to be spending from is really difficult, and it has to be consistent, and it needs to look like you are following normal spending patterns, because a lot of people will receive money and spend it pretty quickly. So you can't veer away from that. The appearance of the transactions needs to be uniform, and so this is really difficult. And that's not to say that Monero's privacy is weak in this aspect in the general sense. It's just that this is an aspect of ongoing development so that we can improve it. And then the fourth thing is we hide the IP address that Monero transactions come from. We use that using multiple things. The first is we use Dandelion++, which is a way of broadcasting transactions in a way that defeats anyone who's trying to passively observe where a transaction comes from, which IP address it comes from. And then we also support Tor and I2P for nodes that want to broadcast transactions on privacy mixnets. And then the last thing, which is something I've mentioned already, is the fact that you're getting lost in a large crowd. And so it's, it's sort of relatively, it's pretty much the most important aspect of any privacy enhancing technology is that you need to have a large crowd to be lost in, otherwise it's pointless.
Yeah,
so
there's also one community member of us, it's called Riccardo also, with only one C. And he was a little toxic about wiping out the ASIC miners. So, well, I said to him, I will ask to Riccardo with double C. Why was that actually?
So, yeah, I didn't agree with that move. I pushed back on it. I was of the opinion that the path Monero should have taken was to embrace ASICs via a switch to SHA-3, even if it was a timed switch, like some sort of commitment that we're going to switch to SHA-3 in 2 years or something, and then we could do random X in the meantime. Ultimately, the community decided to not go that route, and you can't really, you can't really force the community to do anything.
No.
So yeah, like despite my misgivings and disagreements, I can understand why they went down that road. I think that time will tell as to whether it is or was the correct path. It certainly is an interesting path because it's giving us a lot of information on things that, on how quickly companies are moving with technology on the ASIC side of things that we probably wouldn't have had before. So yeah. I'm interested in just seeing how it develops, and then we go from there, So Tari is a decentralized assets protocol. It's designed to for asset issuers to be able to create assets on a decentralized network, and these digital assets are typically anything that lives and dies and exists in digital form. So as an example of some things that we would consider digital assets, you can think of things like in-game tokens. Those are obvious ones. Obviously you could issue an entire currency as a digital asset, although that's probably largely unnecessary. You can do stuff like loyalty points, security tokens, tickets, DRM tokens, registration tokens, anything like that. And then of course non-fungible tokens as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Are we talking about all non-fungible tokens, or are it like different tokens? I saw you were actually there also a year back.
Yeah.
Technical University in Eindhoven. So you have a little connection already with Holland.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I love Holland, and obviously being South African, at least we've got a little bit of the Dutch influence here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the TUE is just such a fantastic university, especially for the advancement of cryptography and a lot of the stuff that I'm interested in.